Rhino, is that you?
There, I think I got it.
I had I still have the laptop, but
He's talking, and the show has started. Oh, my God.
Sorry.
Cannot follow instructions.
Yeah, go back into the green room, please, sir.
We'll call you when we're ready.
Yes.
And if you keep coming out, it's going to take that much longer.
Yeah, that's right. If you keep coming out of the green room, you're going to be here that much longer. All right. So here we are again. That's the whole gang, or some of the gang is. We have Bruce, the moderately agitated male boy.
Yes, you do.
Yes, we do. And we have the always beautiful Kaylee Zhang, who is single-handedly builds turbine engines, Pratt & Whitney turbine engines, then installs them on Airbus A320s. She's the nutmeg girl. She is also the photo chairman for the Northeastern region, and seems to be connected to. She works at Tom's Trains in Connecticut, East Hartford or regular Hartford.
West. Well, Tom's Trains is located in Wethersfield.
Is that on the other side of Hartford?
South of Hartford.
Oh, okay.
Town immediately south of Hartford.
All right. So do you jump on the freeway, or do you take some back roads, or how's that work?
Depends. I like to take the back roads, but freeway if I need to get there a little bit quicker.
I got a feeling, Kaylee, that you're a very responsible person, but I got a feeling that if the job needs to be done, you don't mind pushing the long, skinny pedal down a little bit harder.
Just a little.
Yeah, there you go.
I observe the speed limit.
There you go. And in your Subaru.
Exactly.
Didn't you used to have an Altima?
I did.
And what did you wake up, like bolt upright one day and go, I've got to have a Subaru?
Well, they passed a new law in New England that if you live here, it's a requirement. So
yeah, everybody has a Subaru. Well,
exactly.
I think my friend George Sebastian Coleman, who lives somewhere in Connecticut, not fun. You know what, Bruce?
Hello.
Can you make a note right this minute?
Yes.
On the big whiteboard?
Yes.
Yeah, you know a layout we can go see next year at Springfield?
George Sebastian Coleman, because he's in Connecticut somewhere.
Yeah, he's not very far from the show.
No.
So we got to go do that because
in fact, somebody on an email group was querying about anybody in ON3 living on Long Island, and he pointed out he lives in Connecticut, but I don't think he said exactly where. But I can effort that later.
Yeah, and I certainly can effort it, as we are good friends. And
he was your editor for part of the time you were working at NMR, wasn't he?
Almost the entire time I had the column, he was the guy. He was the guy he was the tip of the arrow, making it look like I knew how I could write. Yeah, actually.
Way to go, George.
Way to go, George. He's an English professor, and he actually taught me just freely taught me all sorts of things about writing. He taught me all sorts of things about writing and reading. So and arithmetic. Occasionally the arithmetic.
Occasionally arithmetic when it came to your paycheck, right? Wait a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
your gazintas aren't quite.
Yeah, my gazintas aren't quite right. All right. So tonight we're going to interview a guy tonight who has been just pestering the crap out of me. And finally, Kaylee stepped in and said, I'm going to straighten this mess out. Because...
Way to go, Kaylee.
Yeah, way to go, Kaylee. Because it's none other than our buddy Jim Lincoln. And one of the problems with this podcast, because it has become way more popular than I ever intended, is that people send me messages, and I get tons and tons of messages, and I have a tendency not to answer all of them.
Uh-oh.
So then
he's a busy man.
I'm not really busy. I think I'm more kind of lazy.
Go with it. Just go with it.
Okay, I'm busy. I'm a busy.
I don't like answering messages.
I'm a busy guy. So anyways, Kaylee steps in to the fold and organizes this whole thing. And I think Jim's going to be a fun guy to talk to because he's a Proto 48 guy. And he works, he's a conductor on, what is he a conductor on, Kaylee?
He's a conductor for the Massachusetts MTBA, Massachusetts Transportation something something something.
Yeah.
MBTA, Massachusetts Metropolitan Boston Transit Authority. I think that's it.
Yeah. And
well, one of the alphabet letter agencies.
Yeah. And he may or may not, because the name Jim Lincoln is reasonably common in North America. He may or may not be the Jim Lincoln of Jim Lincoln Chevels.
And where's Jim Lincoln Chevels located, Lionel?
That's located on the High Street extension, just down the road from Fuller Field, and across the street from
the Dairy Queen in beautiful Clinton, Massachusetts.
Yeah, exactly. All right, come on. Nice one. I managed to get that out of there, and we have to do another email. They're piling up again.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, getting some really nice ones too.
Oh, that's a change.
By the time you hear this, we may have already done the email show, so maybe we don't have to do another one.
So it all depends on when this is broadcast. This is the first one since the last one, or somewhere after, or in between, or before.
Yeah, exactly. Kaylee, do you have any idea if this is the first podcast since the last podcast?
Let's see. Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Looking at the whiteboard, yes.
All right, somebody draw a short straw and go get Jim out of the green room. Even though
Kaylee arranged this whole shit.
Yeah.
Maybe she should do it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Kurt, watch your head, though, eh?
All right. Yep. Oh, ow. Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's come on out.
All right.
Just watch out for that beam right there.
Oh, geez.
I told you.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Okay. Yeah, you did tell me, though.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Jim.
Howdy.
Take your seat on the couch.
Uh-huh.
Be careful.
Yes.
Because there's something wrong with the couch.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
I have my hazmat suit, so we're good.
You haven't got Kelly's old hazmat suit, have you? Because I heard he left. I heard he left some all over New England.
Oh well, maybe. I don't think so. It was secondhand, but I don't know.
All right. So Jim.
Yes.
What would be a good? First off, you came into the green room without. But that's okay. We've got that all straightened out. So yes. Jim, I don't know if you've ever. I'm assuming you've listened to every podcast and some of them twice.
Yes.
So you know that we try to be as transparent here as possible on the old AML network.
Yes.
And so I didn't answer a lot of your messages.
Yes.
And you should probably get used to that.
I figured. I figured.
Like if your house is on fire, don't call me. Call Kaylee.
I'll call Bruce. He knows what to do. He's been here.
Yeah, exactly.
Grab your AML T-shirt and run like hell.
Yeah,
yes. I grab my Jim Lincoln Chevels.
There you go.
T-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, okay, Jim, I got a feeling you're a pretty interesting character. So, let's see. Where should we start? I feel like
let's start at the beginning.
Let's start at the beginning.
The first
start
thing
at the very beginning. I can't say
a very good place to start. When you read, you begin with A, B, C. When you sing, you begin with
Do, Re, Mi.
All right.
All right.
The Von Trapp family has nothing to fear from us.
No, they don't.
So, Jim, have you been a model railroader all your life?
I would say yes, probably. I mean, as far as I can remember.
Okay.
Since 8 or 10. Before that, my brother had a Lionel set that we would set up in the basement, and we would make ramps with the track, and we would see how far the Lionel 442 would fly across the basement.
You like the Addams Family, did you?
Yeah, well, no, never watched it actually, but kindred spirits apparently. But yeah, it ended up being not a 442 anymore, but an 040.
And what was your do you have any recollection of what the record was, the all-time record?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I just remember the ramp being fairly tall and it going fairly far.
All right. And are you one of those guys that keeps your stuff from when you were a kid?
No.
All right. Good, because I don't either.
Yeah.
I already got stuff. I don't need stuff from 50 years ago.
I know, because it was all basically crap.
However, having said that, just as I said that to you, I'm thinking, what do I have that I have? And seeing as how I love to talk about myself, I do have a trophy from 1962 when I won the biggest little player in the hockey league. So I guess I should.
Go.
So I guess I shouldn't talk.
That's different.
All right. So okay. So what? You were interested as a kid, like so many people. Like I would say, 90 to 95% of the people are. And through high school, were you interested? Do you think?
Yeah. Let's see. It was 1986. 1986 was the NMRA National in Boston, and my layout was the TAMR display layout for.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was. So I had my layout. It wasn't done by any stretch of the imagination, but we rented a U-Haul and carried it to Boston, and that was the display layout for the TAMR booth at the time. I used to be the editor of the Northeast Region newsletter.
Oh, wait a minute. How old were you when you were the old editor of that?
Between like 16 to.
Okay.
Because I was in high school. I was in high school when I was the editor of that because I was in printing class, so we were doing offset printing.
All right.
And so I was able to do, grayscale offset printing to do the newsletter.
I'm sorry, I've cut you off, and you may have to get used to that.
That's okay.
Somebody we need to interview someday is Rick Selby of the TAMR, the Teenage. What was it called?
TAMR, Teenage Association of Model Railroaders.
Yeah. And was it pretty active in your area?
It was. Actually, the year before, I had gone to the national convention in Milwaukee because I remember going to Kalmbach at the time. So I took the train by myself, as a matter of fact, took the train to Lakeshore Limited to Chicago and then met up with the guys over there, and we rail fanned all over the place. And
so how old are you when you took the train?
I want to say I was 15.
Wow, nice job.
Yeah.
And then, did you tell your parents, or did you just take off?
No, my parents knew. My parents knew.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact, my mom went out on the Lakeshore Limited the next year or so.
All right, cool.
Yeah. She liked going. She liked traveling by train. So,
do you remember what year that would have been that the Milwaukee convention was in?
That was 85.
All right.
85.
It was the 50th anniversary, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
There we go.
And if I recall, they had like pretty much a whole week full of events going on, all related to. MR was the year before 84, 50. So, but I think there's a lot of interaction with MR in that convention.
Yeah. There was, because we went there. I saw the original MR&T, and that was a very cool layout. And I remember my first experience with Andy Sparandio.
Yeah.
Was him getting mad at me on the Seaboard Central because I tried to re-rail something that had derailed on it, and he was running the layout. And I just automatically went to reach for it to re-rail it. He yelled at me.
Yeah.
Said, don't touch it. But what are you going to do?
Don't touch it, kid. The Seaboard Central was like a project layout, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yep.
Yes.
Was that what was the fella's name? Gordy Odegaard. Was he involved with that?
I don't think so. It might have been.
All right.
Might have been. But the railroad I took to the next year was actually a plan from MR. So
all right.
It was a 4x10. It was actually a 4x10 layout in MR.
All right. So now after these very busy years as a teenager, did you go to university?
Never did.
Good.
No.
Me neither. Me neither. I wanted to, but I don't think they're
I never wanted to. So.
Okay. So did you take a break for girls and cars?
Kinda. Not really. I mean, yes and no. The major break that I took was actually in 1999. So 1999 was the major break because I started a trucking company.
Okay.
And that's like cars doubled because the tractor trailer is a hole in the highway that you pour money into.
Right.
But
right.
I had a bunch of those. So I had taught myself how to drive a tractor trailer, and I bought my first tractor trailer because I looked at the price of going to school, and I'm like, that's like, $3,500, $5,000, whatever it was to go to tractor trailer school. And I said, shoot, I can buy one for $8,000. I'll buy one for $8,000. Then I'll just teach myself.
Okay.
Well, yes. My first 3 months of owning a tractor trailer that I bought for $8,000 was learning how to fix it.
Yeah, I would guess so. You ain't gonna get much even back then for $8,000.
No.
All right. So go, were you gonna say something, Kaylee?
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Why trucking? Why tractor trailer?
I wanted to get my CDL, so, and then once I had my truck, then it's like, well, now I got to pay the thing off. So I went into the business. And then, what ended up happening is I was in computer software support at the time and I got laid off, but I had this other job. So I just kind of rolled right into it.
Okay. So now we have listeners all over the world, all over the world. We have listeners in Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa, and
Australia
and Spain, and Great Britain, and Germany, and all kinds of places. So what is CDL?
A commercial driver's license.
Okay. So in the United States, you need to get a specific commercial driver's license, even back then.
Yes. It didn't. You used to be able to get a chauffeur's license, I guess it was, and you could be able to drive a tractor's trailer. But I forget what year they changed it over to the commercial driver's license. And there's different classes. A car license is a Class D. Then there's Class C. Class B is for straight trucks like 10-wheelers and triaxles. And then Class A is for tractor trailers.
Okay, so we got the times. So how old were you? So I'm thinking you're now. Let me do some ciphering. You're about 30 when you're in 1999.
Yeah, actually, very good.
Okay, yeah, not bad. Eh? And so, what was happening through your 20s as far as model railroading?
It was there, but I wasn't. I would like dabble in it a little bit.
Okay,
but I wasn't really concentrating on it. I didn't really get like seriously good, I would say, at model railroading until after I had I had actually moved to Atlanta for a year. And it was when I was going back and forth to Atlanta before I moved. My best friend who lived in Kennesaw, lived right by the CSX main line, the Atlantic and Western. So the great locomotive chase railroad.
Oh, yeah.
And, right by Kennesaw Mountain National Park. And so where we parked the trucks was adjacent to that main line. And so on the way home every day, I would pass this siding and I could just drive up. I'd take a look at the signal. I'd see and normally like about 5:00 in the afternoon, 3 trains would go by this little siding. Well, it wasn't a little siding, but 3 trains would go by. So I started getting into rail fanning. And then I bought one of the Woodland Scenics build a layout kits to try to get myself up and going again. Because for the 7 years of doing the trucking, I really wasn't doing much as far as model railroading was going. And this kind of got my juices flowing again. And
we should probably stop the interview now.
Okay.
Because I reviewed the Woodland Scenics Build a Railroad kit on for MR.
Yeah.
And that was not some of the happiest days of my life.
Really?
Yeah.
I can believe that. I can believe that.
All right.
If you knew what you were doing, it was not something you wanted to do.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
But to get you like the juices flowing, because like one of the things I did is I kind of knew what I was doing. So as I'm laying the track, I'm like, I'm not going to lay this with sectional track. That's just silly. I threw away the sectional track and laid it with flex track so it would run better. So.
Yeah. And I think I had to lay it with some sort. Yeah. The sectional track. I had to follow the whole
instructions.
Rule. Yeah. And it was like, why am I doing this? But they used to saddle me with all sorts of things like give it to the new guy. He'll do it.
He'll do it. Yeah,
exactly.
And as I recall, nobody ever bought the things. So like a lot of the supplies inside the kits, the glue would be hard and the paint wouldn't be, and by the time you get around to that point in the kit, it's way too long to bring it back and say, hey, this is junk.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah.
So you were very active in the teenage
Association of Model Railroading.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yep.
Settle down.
Sorry.
Settle down. Have you ever listened to the podcast?
Easy, boy. Easy.
I don't play the part of the smart guy. That's other people. That's Kaylee and Bruce and the mail boy and other people. I just play the guy. So anyway, so the teenage associated model. So you did that. You were very active in that. You're riding around the country at 15 on the train and causing all kinds of trouble at MR with Andy Sprandio.
Yes.
Which were okay. Now I remember now when he interviewed me interviewed me to start my column. He asked me if I knew a guy in New England named Jim Lincoln.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah. He actually just held up your picture. He says, "Do you know this guy?" And I went,
"Nope."
Good. Okay. So all right. So 99. Then so you do that. Then you get one of these Woodland Scenics kits. You try to keep them in business. I really never understood the whole principle of that thing, but okay. And I'm sure some people got it and got some mileage out of it.
Well, you know what? Having built it, I can see your point.
Yeah, I think I can see where. Yeah, I think the problem with it was the theory was good, but the problem with it was actually pretty involved to get it to run properly.
Yep.
I think that's where I remember the problem being. And it was also, I think the one I had was N scale.
Okay.
So we were still at the formative stages of N scale at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it was truly like lost.
Yeah, exactly. I think my wife asked me what I did with that layout afterwards. I think I said, it's dead. Don't worry about it.
It is somewhere else. It has gone someplace better.
Yeah. So, okay. So then, all right. So you did the trucking company thing in beginning of the turn of the century. So how did you get back into the hobby more? You were always looking at this siding with the CSX siding. So then at some point you must have kind of went, this hobby's cool. I remember this now.
It was, believe it or not, I started watching, when I got home. So when I moved back from Atlanta and I'm back at home now and I had a little bit of space and, my mom showed me an article about this guy who lived in the next town who was really into model railroads. And that was Scott Mason.
Okay.
And so I started getting his videos, and it was from his videos that started me on understanding how to build Craftsman kits. And really, it was that started to help me to get my skills, hone my skills. So I was getting better and better at it. And back in the days, in air quotes, when, CDs and DVDs that's how you learned, instead of being able to type in how to make water.
Yeah.
And then see, Kathy Millett and all these people and Luke Towan on the internet with videos that you just watch and like, oh, okay, great. And moving on.
And Ron Marsh, who is the official video guy of the AML network.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, Kaylee?
Yes.
Wouldn't it have been cool if he says, so I got back, my mother showed me this article in a magazine by none other than yours truly.
That would be phenomenal.
That would have been cool. Wouldn't that have been a great thing? But no. It was. Go ahead, Bruce.
I was going to say that would have been very cool had he said that.
Yeah, but no. It was the Scotty Mason show. Oh, hey! It's the Scotty Mason show. Actually, I like Scotty. He's a good guy. And his videos were
great guy.
Very good. Yeah, and
I do have that magazine though.
What magazine is that?
That would be the magazine with you on the cover with your layout that you had to cut up to get out of the door.
Yeah,
out of the basement.
Yeah, where my son and I aren't wearing pants.
Yes.
Behind the scenes at AML.
Yeah, exactly. We're not wearing any pants. Okay, so all right, so that's kind of a cool connect. And Scotty, during that time, he was really prolific in producing those videos.
Yes, he was, and prolific kit builder and all that. Yeah, he was very 10 minutes from me. So.
All right. And did you go introduce yourself, or you just kind of hung outside his house, or what happened there?
Yes, I did that. Yes, I definitely did that. And since he was in the town council, he called the cops and had me removed. And but no, I believe I did. But at that point, I like, it's kind of like anything else. It's like, yeah, okay, kid, whatever. Here's the video. Have a nice day. And then, as you could see that, like, I kind of knew what I was doing. Then we did a little bit, we talked a little bit more,
Right.
Meet him on occasion. But it's kind of funny that somebody lives that close, and
Yeah.
he was pretty busy most of the time. He had a really big layout. Oh boy.
Did he answer
Really?
your messages?
Generally,
Okay.
but I think they were phone calls, so he could easily just not pick up. But the other thing is, I think I own every one of his videos. So there was kind of like, I'm a pretty good customer, so it was in his best interest to pick up the phone.
Yeah. Okay. How many videos did he produce?
A lot.
All right. So now we're in the early 2000s.
Yep.
I call them the knots.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's zeros. That's another. Hey, Bruce, I wonder where that term ever came from, the knots for zeros.
Well, that's a lot of times used to call zero knot. I'm not sure where it originated, but it's been around for eons. Like Jethro Bodine.
Yeah, I
double knot
know.
spy.
That's where I remember hearing it. Haley, any idea?
Because there are two zeros that look together and they kind of look like knots on the rope, so they became knots.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I just remember Jethro going.
Although there is just an all for naught, which means
oh, yeah.
nothing. So maybe zero became associated with not.
Yeah. That's all
And
right.
I know in the days of dispatching, they always they didn't use zero. They always used the not.
Really?
NAUGHT.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
THREE.
It's a good thing we interviewed Jim, or else we'd never got onto this discussion.
Yes.
What was all that spelling you just did there? What was the
Dispatchers, they used to spell it out. NAUGHT.
first? NAU. Hang on.
NAUGHT THREE.
All right. So it wasn't KNAOT.
No, it's NAUGHT.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All for naught.
Yes.
Dreadnought,
Okay. See, now you're coming up to grade 12 English again. Mrs. and dredging up those memories of Mrs. Blake again. Did you have to do that?
Sorry.
All right. So you've watched Scotty's videos. You're starting to understand the hobby again. What happens next?
Let's see. In the trucking company until 2007.
Well, we don't really. Yeah, that's fine. Well,
Yeah, right. No.
Model railroading. What happened in that? From 2000 to 2007.
Let's see. I'm building let's see. I was working on the layout, and then I got my first taste of, because I had always been hand laying my track. So, the layout that I had, actually, I think I did hand lay some of the track on that layout I brought in the 1986 convention. But the layout, I also had, like, all my layouts I've ever hand laid my track. And so somehow I saw an ad for fast tracks. And so I got my first fast tracks fixture, got a fixture, the filing jigs, and then to realize that, wow, hand laying track is so much easier now.
And the scale is
HO.
okay.
At the time it was HO. So, let's see. So I was hand laying track, and then I got crazy because I was using stuff from Proto 87 stores, and I was hand laying track with individual tie plates and HO, and that's madness. And then I started, using Tim's fixtures. I kind of figured out how to hand lay anything. And then I was at the Craftsman Structure Show, which was like the greatest show ever, 2 towns over. Scotty Mason ran that with Foscale Models and Jimmy Degnan. And, was talking to Mike Rose, and he was talking about his layout that he was working on, and that he was going to build this new, industry that he wanted to have all this interesting track work in. And I said, I can hand lay it for you. And he was like, yeah, okay.
Right.
whatever. And then I brought him something, I think the Proto 87 switch that I had built recently, and he saw it and he said, oh, okay, well, maybe.
All right. We're going to have to take a time out here because not everybody's going to know what Proto 87 is. So,
boy,
we're going to have to explain a little bit with the help of Kaylee and Bruce. We're going to explain a little bit.
Okay. So Proto 87, do you want them to do it, or do you want me to explain what I know about it?
Go ahead. You're the guest.
Okay.
We don't want to be. We don't want to be rude. Do we want to be rude?
Really?
Kids?
Okay.
No.
Never.
So, so Proto 87 is, he's an interesting gentleman, but I didn't go totally like nuts with getting Proto 87 to have HO scale, trains with scale wheels and scale flanges and all that, which is where, Proto 87, if you're going all Proto 87, that's where you're going. But it's the thought of having prototype style frogs, prototype size wheels, flanges, all that stuff. It looks a lot more realistic. What I was doing was there's one store that basically provides all the Proto 87 stores, and he provides the frogs and tie plates and the really very intricate switches that you can build. And so I bought a couple of his kits and his fixtures and built a couple of his switches. And I laid a bunch of track on the layout, the house that I'm living now. I laid a bunch of track with individual tie plates, and that in HO scale, that's just madness. But I did it, and I know how to do it. And so I don't know if that really answers your question, because maybe Bruce probably has a better idea. But.
So I have another question. So you said Proto 87 stores. So there's one guy that sells this stuff?
Pretty much, yep.
And it's called Proto 87 stores.
Yes.
And if you go on your website, it turns out their website is Proto, Proto 87, the numbers 8 and 7.com.
Yes.
And there's one guy selling most of this stuff.
Yes.
Wow. All right, cool.
Andy Reichert.
Yeah, and if you get right down to Proto 87 is the supposed to be like the exact scale. So if you're an adherent all the way, you're using scale size wheel sets, you're handling all your track detailing it right up. Although there are some manufacturers that make commercial track now for it and components, but it's basically those who like HO but want more of a challenge and try to make it look as realistically as possible. So there'll be some outstanding models built in there, and there's actually a fair number out there working on it. And there were a few, there are a couple large layouts, built to P87, but it's one of those niche things. If you enjoy it and they want the challenge, you do it. If not, there you go.
Right.
Okay.
I think there was a project layout in MR.
Yes, Ian Rice did.
Yep.
Rock Bluffs was about a 6-parter in MR, so there's a little small shelf layout that he did in Proto 87,
based on the main central, as I recall.
Yes.
Okay.
So I did that, and then I ended up hand-laying a lot of the entire Mahoopany section at Mike Rose's layout. And
where does Mike Rose live?
He lives in. Let's see. His address is
123 Main Street.
Yes, 123 Main Street. He lives down on the south coast, so down like in the Dartmouth, New Bedford, Fall River area.
South coast of
Massachusetts.
All right, cool. Because you live in Massachusetts.
I live in Massachusetts. Yes.
Not far from Clinton, Massachusetts.
Not real far from Clinton, Massachusetts. And I work for the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority.
Yeah, we're getting to that. Just relax, buddy. We're getting to that.
Okay. All right.
So Proto 87 and,
yes,
which is, sounds like it's a segment of the hobby that some people are really into.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not what I was doing. I was using his components to just try to hand lay track with the tie plates. I mean, it looks awesome. It really does. I don't know if it's worth the effort, but if you like it, it's great.
Okay.
But
so all right. So this is what was happening in the knots.
In the knots. Yep. And then, let's see, in the knots, and then you're making me remember all this stuff, but that's what I was doing. So
in just general terms, and then you got out of the trucking company, and then what did you decide to do?
Well, there's a story, and it may or may not be interesting.
How come hey, Kaylee? How come I'm not surprised there's a story?
There's always a story. Jim Lincoln, the one with the story.
Yeah,
Yes.
the story guy. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
So I, the guy that had, my best friend who had worked for me, he needed a job. So I was like, let me go down in the Atlanta area. Let me look at CSX. Maybe he could go work for the railroad, Norfolk Southern CSX. And they weren't hiring in Atlanta, but they were hiring in Boston. So I said, they're not going to hire me, but I'll throw in an application to CSX. So they call me in for an interview. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I went for the interview, didn't hear anything for a while. And at that time, I had gone from 7 trucks in 2 states to 1 truck by myself in Massachusetts.
Right.
And I had a great job. As far as trucking goes, it was a great, easy job. It was overnight hauling bread. So it was just your tractor. You go hook up to somebody else's trailer. You like Freierhofers and Nissen bread.
Right.
You'd carry it from the distributor down to the places where the trucks go to the individual stop and shops and stuff like that.
Right.
And so
let me,
I was doing pretty good.
Hang, man, I spent some time in the trucking industry in my early adulthood, and we referred to that as pin to pin.
Okay. Yep.
Have you ever heard that term?
I have heard that term.
Okay. That's what we called it, pin to pin, where you didn't have to touch anything but the pin of the trailer and hook her up, and away you went, and then drop
No, actually, I did have to unload the trailers.
Oh.
I did have to unload the trailers. Now, that being said, so you've got the stacks of bread racks,
right?
But they weren't held on. They were just on those dollies.
Yeah,
they weren't held by anything. And the more trailers you moved in a night, the more money you made, obviously. So you tried to offload the trailer as quickly as you could, and you'd grab hold. And bread has a certain amount of weight to it, so you'd grab hold of it and pull them behind you and, walk up the trailer with them. Well, sometimes when you were in a bit of a rush, you could tip over this big 7-foot tall high stack of bread. And so you dump it all over. It was great. And that would happen every once in a while where you're dumping bread all over the place.
Okay. I'm going to have to interrupt you again because I'm going to go off topic for a minute with the help of Kaylee and Bruce. Besides John McManaman, do we remember who else we have out there? As truckers, I know we got several guys out there running, driving, and I want to say hi to all of them.
Yeah, there's a couple I can't. John's the only one that comes to mind. We got the FedEx drivers, of course.
But, good, yeah, absolutely.
The long haul guys. I know there are a couple out there who have posted.
Yeah,
but I don't recall their names right now.
So I'd be interested to hear if they know of the term pin to pin, because it was certainly common in where I drove, anyways. And if you could get pin to pin, that was
great.
That was great. Okay, yeah. So all right, so you unload the bread and everything.
So
unloading bread.
I get a call. So, but it was a good job, paid well as far as trucking goes, and doing good. And I get a call from CSX saying, we'd like you to come work for us. And I'm like, I don't know. Can I call you back? Let me think about it. Like, yeah, no problem. Well, in my 9 years of owning a truck and driving, I had never been in an accident in a tractor trailer. That night, I was in an accident. And it wasn't a bad accident. It was just an accident. You never want to be in an accident in a truck because they just automatically assume you're at fault.
Right.
And a guy took a left in front of me, and it was he had been drinking that night, and I never even saw the guy. It's like I'm sitting at this light, and I pulled out wide so I don't clip anybody on my left side. So I pulled out wide, and the truck just stopped. And I'm like, oh my God, I just dropped my transmission. And then I saw the guy pull away from me, and I'm like, I think maybe I would have preferred if I dropped my transmission.
Right.
We pull over, and I was like, well, I'm glad it's your fault. I'm like, my fault?
Yeah.
How do you figure that? He said, yeah, I'm glad it's your fault because I've been drinking. I'm like, anyway, and it really didn't do it. And what had happened is I actually peeled the rear quarter panel off his car. Didn't do any damage. It's like it was a cutaway. So you could see all the wires and everything. Didn't do any other damage to the car. It was just like you could see the innards of the car.
Yeah. So let me get.
And he drives away, and I was like, you know what? I think this is just telling me I need to stop.
Yeah.
That's
honestly, if I ever get in an accident and I peel away an entire fender where I can see the wires and everything, I'm thinking that's damage.
Yeah, it's damage. Oh yeah. It was
You
definitely,
just said
but it was
it
far.
You just said you didn't do any damage. That sounds like Bruce, if I ever pull up to your office
Yes.
and there's a fender missing and you can see the wires and stuff,
Yeah.
you're going to have to tell me because I think that's damage.
Well, it depends which side you pull up on. It might be the side I won't see, but
It wasn't damage to me though.
Right.
That was the important thing. I was more concerned about damage to my truck.
All right. So let's move on to CSX.
well, Lionel's also had incidents where he's concerned about damage to his truck, but those are other stories.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah, we'll go. Okay.
So anyway,
yeah.
at that point, I decided I was going to leave the trucking business, and I went to the railroad.
Okay. And
That was-
everybody lived happily ever after?
No. So, I went to CSX school, and then I became a freight conductor for CSX for 3.5, 4 years.
So you're in your late 30s now?
Yep.
Okay, you're a freight guy. You're a conductor on a freight train.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. And so one of the jobs that we did, one of the industrial areas, was a section of Mansfield, Massachusetts, which is on the Northeast Corridor, called the Chocolate. And it's called the Chocolate because there's a chocolate factory there. And at the time when I started working, the chocolate factory was still in business. It has since closed. It was bought by ADM and they decided to close it. So while you were working in this little industrial area, you would, every once in a while, you'd get wafted over of this heavy duty smell of chocolate.
Sure.
So you're walking amongst lunch freight. Now you're in an industrial area. The smell of chocolate is not normally what you think of in an industrial setting, but it was nice every once in a while. And so while I was working down in this section of the world,
hang on
yes.
a minute.
Yes.
Bruce, any idea where this story is going?
I think he's going to tell us how it came about building a layout.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Is that where you're thinking, Kaylee?
I am.
Mm-hmm.
Is your name Kaylee? No, just hang on, Jim. Just relax. Kaylee, is that where you're thinking this is going?
Oh yeah. Yep.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay. You guys.
And if I recall, it's got some pretty unique methods he used, which he'll tell us about.
Yeah, eventually. After he tells us how much pressure was in the right rear tire of his car on the way home from work.
But
Yeah.
it's an important detail.
We're going to start counting you down, Jim. We got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about here, buddy.
Uh-huh.
Yes, but he's captivating everybody on the edge of their seats now.
Oh, is that what that is? It's like the buildup. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Carry on. All right, Jim. So you're working in an industrial area. They're smelling of chocolate and other things. And because of that, what happens?
Well, when I was in there, because as you're doing the job, you have to know what all the car counts and how when you're a freight conductor, you have to know the siding lengths and, how far from here to here is 5 cars and here to here is 7 cars. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this is a model railroad. And if you put this in a model railroad, they wouldn't believe you. People would look at this and they'd say, you just made that up. They would never do that in real life. And it's like, well, and here it is. The passing siding was 14 cars long and you had 5 cars, 7 cars and 9 car lengths. And, cars went in buildings and it was on this curve. And the gentleman, I wanted to figure out whether I could build this in 1-to-1. And when I say 1-to-1, I mean, can I just take this in N scale and make a layout out of it without shrinking it at all? And with the help of
all right, hang
John
on.
Kleiser.
Hang
yeah,
on.
okay. Yes.
If you're going to tell me you tried to do Proto 87 in N scale or Proto
No.
1/64th
Nope.
and N scale on I'm out.
Negative. No, I'm not that crazy.
All right.
So now with the help of John Kleiser, I was able to get Google Maps scaled to N scale, and I laid it out on the benchwork, and it's a 10x7 layout, and you can have all the operations of the chocolate in a 10x7 layout without actually having to. You're actually laying the track on the map.
Okay.
Right. Without having to compromise any
You don't
track
have-
lengths and
At all. You don't have to so I can go into this layout and say, I know what all the car lengths and all the track lengths and how many cars fit in all these locations. So what I would do every day is I knew how to operate it. So It's like the goal of it was to build this layout and then take it to shows and have people try to operate it, and then throw in some caveats to it that had happened to me in real life. I had all these grandiose plans, but like the door, I wanted to have a button that automatically opened the door at Stone Container, because Stone Container was you could spot 6 cars inside the building.
Okay.
Well, there was a derail and a fence and a door that you would go, and you'd go inside and you'd ask the guy, please open the door. And they would open the door, and they would come and open the gate and drop the derail for you. Well, what do you think happens when your train master tells you, okay, you're going to switch that at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday?
No.
And you ask your train master, are they going to be open? Oh, yes.
Right.
You're sure? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've talked to them. They're going to be open on Sunday night. You're sure? Because I can just bring these cars on Monday. It's not a big deal. But if you want me to switch this, these 3 cars are going to be in my way. I need to be able to put them in the building. Don't worry. They'll be open. Do you think they were open?
I'm sensing no.
Nope.
And the unnerving part for me is at this point, we're talking about 10, 12 years ago. I'm starting to remember the correlation between the name Jim Lincoln and the word chocolate. Somehow, by now, the internet's becoming much more prolific, and I'm sure I've seen on forums Jim Lincoln and chocolate.
Yeah. On your your spin-off show.
Yeah, that would have been one place. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
very
things, yeah. But I don't remember. Yeah. I don't remember anything about you having to deal with the train master. That's all new to me.
Yeah. Well, no. Anyway, yeah, that was fun. Train Master Pendleton.
Attaboy. Train Master Pendleton. Okay, so that's it. Now that's what you do now. You work on the CSX?
No.
On the chocolate?
No. So what happened is the state CSX sold the Worcester Main Line, which is where the vast majority of the work was. They sold the Worcester Main Line from Boston, Beacon Park, all the way to Worcester. They sold that section of the railroad to the state of Massachusetts.
Right.
And part of the deal of that was that any of the conductors and engineers on CSX that wanted to move over to commuter rail at that time, we were able to do it. And so I looked at it, and I didn't have a lot of seniority. So I said, you know what? I'm probably in 2 years, I'm not going to have a job. So I'll go to commuter rail now. And so I did.
So, what is it called again exactly?
It's the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority.
MBTA. All right, cool. Yeah. And how long have you worked there then?
My first day was June 20th, 2011.
All right, so roughly 9 years.
Yep.
All right, yep. And any chocolate involved in this?
I do go buy the chocolate.
All right, you go buy the chocolate. The thing about chocolate, Bruce and Kaylee, I think Kaylee, I want you to consider this too. It's whenever you're planning your meals, or you're planning your meals for the day, or planning your meals for the week, even always think of nutritious before delicious.
I had some delicious hot chocolate.
Was it nutritious?
I don't know, but it certainly was delicious.
Okay. I just had some peanut M&Ms, which was very nutritious and delicious.
Ah, there you go. See, that's the whole key. Exactly. All right. So how's the old Proto 87 layout coming then?
Oh, the Proto 87 layout is gathering dust because I never really did finish that when I started doing work on Mike Rose's layout.
Okay.
So I was doing HO work for him, and then I just started doing the chocolate and N scale, and then I got bit by the Proto 48 bug.
Okay.
And the chocolate kind of never got finished, but.
All right, so so now I'm sensing there's a basement full of odd, different sized layouts.
Yes, you would be correct, sir.
All right, All right.
Except for the Woodland Scenics one, that's long gone.
All right, that's cool.
Yes,
Viking Funeral.
No, somebody bought it actually.
Oh, really?
Hooray! Yes,
bonus.
Yeah. Holy
hooray!
Man. How much did you sell it for?
$400.
Wow, nice job.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
It was either that. That's what I recall. It was either that, or I was like, "Dear God, get this out of my basement." One,
and Mike,
one of the two.
and Mike, while you were working on Mike Rose's layout, did he ever ask you to, or did you just kind of storm your way in and you never left? Kind of like, you remember that movie, Something About Bob, with Richard Dreyfuss and Bill Murray?
I don't remember it. No.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's basically Bob Won't Leave.
Oh, excellent.
Here I was thinking it was kind of more like your story with Alan and Colin.
Yeah, exactly, which is a great story. But this isn't about me. So is that the same Mike Rose that it was the Scotty and Mike show?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah, crew call with Mike.
All right. And he has a show now. And Kaylee was just on it plugging Modeler. What is this show called?
A Modeler's Life?
A Modeler's Life, yeah. He was just on there plugging this. She was just on there plugging this show like crazy.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
So
now, Mike Rose models New York City, does he not?
No. He models Pennsylvania, Conrail, Pennsylvania, 1980s, late 80s.
Pennsylvania into New York.
Yeah.
So
Upstate New York.
We got to get Mike Rose here on the old AML podcast.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, we'll find out what kind of guy you really are. He'll have all of the inside scoop.
He will. Yeah. That was a case of, he said, "Oh, can you come down and can you lay this custom curved crossing for me?" I'm like, "Sure." Then he said, "Can you lay 2 custom curved crossings?" "Sure." He said, "Do you want to come down and look at it?" "Sure, I'll come down and look at it." And the where he wanted to lay where Mahoopany was going to be, and that's Mahoopany, Pennsylvania, which I would bet you right now is like the busiest place on the planet. And the reason I say that is because what he models is the Charmin plant.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Because during
and it's still open now. Still open now. So
and because this is probably going to be broadcast sometime in July. We speak of the events of the year 2020, and we all know what we're talking about. And you're talking about how there is so much Charmin toilet paper in my local Walmart, I can't move. Okay.
Well, they obviously shipped it all up to you.
Exactly. All right. So okay. So now you, while you're working on, so you abandon your own layout because you're working on Mike's layout.
Yep.
And then you abandon the chocolate because it's always nutritious before delicious.
Correct.
And then, so where are we at now? Like I'm running out of, I'm trying to keep score here, but I'm running out of paper.
I started getting into Proto 48. So, but I was doing a lot of work so I would actually build track for Mike while I was in my car at work for CSX. So some of the jobs that you had were what are called flag jobs, where you just had to accompany a work crew, like a non-railroad work crew that was working adjacent to the track, and you had to make sure that they didn't foul the track.
Right.
And so trains would call you. You would be on the bulletin, and the train would have to call you to make sure it was clear to come through. So basically, you just sat in your car and said, "Okay to come through." That's all you had to do all day. And so I bought an inverter so that I could run my soldering iron. So I soldered together switches and crossings in my car while at work for CSX.
Of course.
Of course, because doesn't everybody?
Sitting in the passenger seat or the driver's seat?
Either one. Probably the driver's seat, because it wasn't moving, so it didn't make any difference.
Well yeah, but the steering wheel's in the way.
No, actually, the steering wheel helped hold. I had one of these soldering pads.
Uh-huh.
It was like an asbestos soldering pad.
Okay.
So that would lean against the steering wheel.
Right.
And it was a better angle to actually work on everything.
Okay. So is there a Proto 48 store, or where do you buy your Proto 48 stuff?
Proto 48 is actually from a number of places, mainly, but has kind of pared down some because the gentleman that had a lot of the parts, 2 of the guys that had a lot of the parts, very up in years and isn't doing very well, and the other one has passed. So Jay Criswell of Right of Way Products, he has a lot of the parts to build switches. So he has the switch points, the frogs, all that other stuff. So he has all the parts to do switches. And then Norm at protocraft.com Norm Buckhart. He has the wheels and trucks and stuff like that, and couplers.
Okay. And where's Norm located?
They're both in California. Both Jay and Norm are in California.
Oh, okay. Protocraft.com, you call it?
www.protocraft.com. Yep.
www. Okay, carry on. Is anybody taking any notes here? Because I think I lost the map, and I'm not sure I can find my way home.
Well, in a nutshell, layout for the convention, Woodland Scenic sold, dabbled in P87, decided to go to N-Scale, now P48.
Okay.
Yes.
Drove a truck, now worked for CSX, and now a conductor on the
Commuter rail.
Yeah. Okay. And somewhere in there, somebody told me you have your own podcast.
I am one of the co-hosts of the Model Railroad Hobbyist podcast. Yes.
Well, then what are you doing here?
I love your show, man.
Oh, okay.
It's a great community.
It is the AML Nation.
You've built, and I had to. If Jim Lincoln Chev Olds is supporting, I might as well at least be on the show once.
Do you think it's? We just have to find out. We just have to verify if you're the actual Jim Lincoln.
I think so.
Yeah, well, we don't know. We haven't seen any kind of ID yet. Okay, so what year did you start doing this?
Proto 48.
Yeah,
I want to say it was 2013, maybe 2012.
And so did I miss why you started doing that? Because you were busy helping Mike Rose, and then did you all of a sudden wake up, bolt upright one day, and went, "I'm going to model an O scale"?
Kind of, believe it or not, it's all Trevor Marshall's fault.
Trevor Marshall.
Trevor Marshall, at the time, I think he was doing his ON2. Right? He was doing ON2 at the time, and he had one little section of Proto 48, and he came on a podcast, and I want to say it was the Model Railcast show. He came on a podcast and talked about Proto 48, and it kind of just hit a chord with me, and I started investigating it. And as a conductor, particularly a freight conductor, you're really up close and personal with the equipment and the track and everything.
Right.
So I was really able to see the detail because you're literally your hands on it. A lot of these things, you do a class 1 brake test, you can see all the brake rigging, you're looking at everything. And so it really appealed to me. And then when I started getting into it, I've actually I have my own store, Shapeways store, where I've done 3D design and made a bunch of parts so that it makes it easier for people to get into Proto 48. Because it used to be, very realistically, if you didn't have a machine shop, it was very hard to do.
Okay.
And
but there were guys doing it.
Yeah, because they have machine shops.
Or girls in the case of our very own Kaylee.
Mm-hmm.
Except I wasn't doing Proto 48.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. You have. You put a decoder in one of my locomotives. You did Proto 48. Ha ha! I've wrapped circles around you logically.
I see here if you go to Protocraft, they have a list of layouts, different layouts that you can look at and see and stuff like that. All right. So is there is there a secret society, a secret Proto 48 society?
Yes, actually. And it's called, if you look up proto48.org, www.proto48.org.
www.
proto48.org.
Oh, he's typing it now. I can tell that he's typing it himself. He's got it right.
Yes.
I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
There it is right there. I found it. Man, that picture of that freight car they got on the cover is beautiful.
Yep.
Holy mackerel. I can see O scale is I think O scale is if I was starting another layout, I think I'd do O scale because it's really cool.
I think it's the first scale where you can do everything right and it works okay. The problem with P87, it really doesn't have enough heft to work properly, in my opinion.
All right. So now you say it's this first scale where you can do everything right. Do you know several HO scale modelers that are doing it wrong?
That's not what I mean.
Oh, okay. All right.
That isn't what I mean at all. I mean,
okay.
you can add.
Well, sir, that's exactly what you said. I can replay the tape for you if you'd like.
Okay, you're absolutely right. That is what I said, but that's not what I meant.
Oh, okay. You meant as in recreating proto scale modeling. It's the best.
Yes.
It's because that's a good point, because I seem to remember. Let me throw this in. I seem to remember somewhere, Bruce. We went somewhere and somebody was trying Proto 87, and the flanges were so small, you can't really get there was a lot of trouble with derailing and what have you.
Possibly.
Or we've been places together.
Yeah, this is true.
All right, so that was part of the problem. That's part of the problem with Proto 87.
They are teeny tiny flanges. That's for
teeny tiny flanges. So,
Right.
So you've moved on down to Proto 48.
Yep. So Proto 48, the cars actually have the same flange profile as HO does. So you essentially have RP25, right? RP25 flanges on an O scale model.
Oh, okay. You mean like okay, so the HO scale sized flange is that the actual size on a Proto 48, but that would probably work pretty well, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It does. People say, "Oh, your track work needs to be perfect," and it doesn't, because the models are heavy enough that if the track's pretty good, it will still work fine. And if you want to look at my kind of blog website, is LincolnP48engineering.com.
All right. Well, that's not too bad of it. You spell Lincoln. Is it very similar to the way it's spelled on Lincoln Chevroles?
Yes.
Okay. It's pretty odd, that the guy named Jim Lincoln owns a Chevy dealer.
Yes.
Lincoln Proto 48, what?
No, P48 engineering.
Oh, gee.
If it makes you feel any better, I never remember which one it is. So I always punch in Proto 48 engineering first. It's like, I couldn't find that. Then Google's like, I can't find that, but I can find this. Oh, yes, that one.
I think I found it. And okay. I think I found it. I'm clicking on it now. And there it is. There's Lincoln Proto 48 engineering. Adventures in Proto 48 and 3D design.
Yep.
And there's a photo here of a truck wheel set. It's very Kaylee Zhang-esque kind of artistic photo here.
Of course, everyone's referring to what he's referring to is my photo that I took of a rolling truck that emulates the NMRA logo.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a very cool photo. And we're making it the task of the AML Nation to get Kaylee's photos published somewhere.
Yes.
All right. So cool. So how is this? Do you have a layout or what?
I am working on a layout. Yes. I've just been thinking, listening to AML.
You might want to take a break on that.
What?
The thinking.
Well, yeah, I know.
All right. So you've been listening to the AML and you've been thinking
that I need to make a blog for the layout itself. Instead
all right.
of, a different blog. So you could put some more pictures up or at least a Facebook group or something.
Yeah, I think you should put them right up here on Lincoln48engineering.com. I mean, it's you, isn't it?
Yes, I can do that too.
Yeah, what the heck? Just put them right up on your own blog.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be a different blog because this one is more geared towards, helping people find the parts on my Shapeways store to make easy. That's kind of what this one is more about, the stuff the products I have, as opposed to what I'm doing with my layout.
And do you sell much stuff from those Shapeways?
I do okay. I mean, I couldn't retire on it, but I make a few $100 a year.
Yeah, you must be doing all right because you just bought a brand new Ford Raptor pickup truck.
Oh, that's a long story. It's not a Raptor, it's a Roush.
It's a what?
It's a Roush.
Like as in Jack Roush?
I don't know. It's not. It's Roush Racing.
Holy moly!
So,
you bought a Roush Racing pickup truck?
Yes, it's a 600 horsepower V8.
You must be rolling in dough.
No, it was used.
Yeah,
it was a very good. It was very good price. That's why I bought it. I was like, because I went into that dealership thinking they were going to. Oh, this thing's $65,000. And what?
Yeah.
Hey, Lionel.
Yeah.
Lionel.
Yeah.
He lives in Massachusetts. He got an offer he could not refuse.
Yeah. There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Or he made an offer they couldn't refuse. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. All right. Because you were showing that off to our very own Seth Gartner, who is the AML emergency room doctor.
Yes. And if Tom Stock goes this year, there is a theoretical possibility that myself and Chris Adams will come down in it.
Well, that'd be cool. And what if it doesn't go this year? You know what? Then you have another whole year to plan for it.
There you go.
And by now it has either happened or not happened.
Correct.
Yes.
We either had a lot of fun or we're having a lot of fun torturing Tom about next year.
Yes.
Either way.
Either way, it's a win.
Either way, it's a win-win. Either way. You can't lose.
If it doesn't go on, then we've started a crowdsourcing thing to buy that field in behind him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's right.
So we can park all the RVs that he doesn't want to park there.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I'm just going to get a hold of that farmer just because I'm Lionel. That's what I do.
Yeah.
It's what I do. It's why I was put on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, all right. So now so how big is this Proto 48 layout?
It's going to be about 11 by 30.
Wow.
So.
And you got most of it done by now?
No. Heavens no. It's a very slow process. I'm building the benchwork out of gator foam. So while it's easy to work with, it is expensive. So
why gator foam as opposed to some other light, traditional 1x3s or even foam board?
Foam board will warp if you get it wet. Cause I tried that. And it's about as structurally strong as wood, but it's significantly lighter. I can lift the 8 foot, the 30 inch by 8 foot long section of layout. It's all, it's modular. So I can carry it around if I want to, or I can move it out of the basement in case I move away. So, I wanted it to be portable. One of the things that killed the chocolate was I built it so heavy that even for an N scale layout that's not particularly large, you need 2 people to move it around. And that was disappointing to me. It's very stout. It's very robust. You can stop bullets with that benchwork, but, I wanted something that was lighter and that was easily actually portable by one person. And that's what gator foam does.
Oh, couldn't. All right. I'll leave it at that because you could have gone like with 1x3s and like foam board or something like that. Could you not? I
could have. This was something that I also wanted to try it. So at the moment that you've started trying it, now you're kind of committed to it. So it's okay. It slows me down enough because a lot of time I spend down in the basement. I'm just staring at the layout, trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I know what the track plan is. The track plan has always been fairly solid in my head, but it's trying to figure out the things that are going to go around everything and where I'm going to place structures and what structures are going to go where, and that stuff has been more complicated.
You're not doing that analysis by paralysis or paralysis?
I do that. Paralysis. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. We'll stop. Oh, yeah. We'll stop doing that.
I try.
Yeah.
Overthinking stuff.
Yeah.
I know.
Tell him to stop, Kaylee.
Jim, stop.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. But every once in a while I get to go down and I turn on the locomotive, the Kaylee put the decoder in and I move it back and forth and listen to it.
Did she do a good job on that? Because she's putting a couple of decoders in some of my locomotives, and I want to make
did an excellent job.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if you know this, Kaylee, but since you installed that, I still haven't charged the battery, and it works.
Yeah, that was actually a really fun little project because I'm so used to doing DCC installs where you wire up to the pickups on the trucks and yada yada yada. But with this challenge was interesting because here you have O scale, which is large, and you would think there's a lot of space, but when you start adding in the different components, because I think Jim chose the Tam Valley system.
Yep.
And then the Tam Valley, so there was a charge board, there was also a charging board, but also a kind of a junction board for the batteries to hook into. So I had to find space to mount the batteries, plus the Tam Valley board, plus the decoder, plus the speaker. And it actually ended up eating up a lot more space, and I was kind of surprised. But it was interesting to work on something different, and then to finally get it all charged up. And then when it comes to testing, I literally just ran it on my tiled floor and used the tile grout as the rails.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that'd be cool. Yeah. So does
Yeah,
it seem like a pretty good system, Kaylee?
It felt very robust. It was very simple and very straightforward and easy to use. So I would say, yeah.
Okay.
It will run. It will run with any DCC system. You just have to hook up the transmitter to the DCC system that you have. The way that I'm running it is with the Tam Valley system, which is the whole DCC system and transmitter is in your hand. So it's a handheld DCC system that's totally separate from everything. And it will run the locomotive. You can program it, all that stuff.
Okay. And you have
Pretty
about 30, 40 feet of track to run it on?
I have about, if you took all the tracks that are there, maybe 20.
Oh, okay. So you're making some headway.
Oh yeah, no, the 8-foot section, the 8-foot straight section is essentially laid. I have one of the curve sections that's mostly laid, and I just installed another section of bench work so that I can have the curve section off the other end. So I've got one side of the basement is done. So I could use that as a switching layout. So the one industry that I have in place is going to be a corn syrup plant, obviously. And so I'll be able to switch that.
Time out. Why is it obviously a corn syrup plant?
I wrote an article in the 2012 Model Railroad Planning about corn syrup plants.
All right.
And why they're an excellent industry for a model railroad to have, because there's a lot of operation involved in a very small area, which is interesting. Most people would find interesting enough, where Model Railroader, after publishing my article in Model Railroad Planning, put a corn syrup plant on their layout.
Well, there you go, on their Milwaukee, Racine, and Troy.
The new one, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a lot more complicated than you think.
You mean new as in, you don't mean, they didn't take the old layout, the layout I know from, that layout's been 20, 30 years old. I don't think they rebuilt that layout. Well, we'll have to find out. That's a question for people to ask, but I'm pretty sure it's the one I know of.
Okay.
So it was in Model Railroad Planning.
Yes, 2012. Yep, 2012 Model Railroad Planning.
And that's run by that Tony Custer guy.
It is. I had another layout. I had another article in the 2014 Model Railroad Planning.
Oh, cool. Well done.
That was on auto rack facilities.
Well done. Nice job. Okay.
Thank you.
So tell us something about being, so we might as well discuss what it's like being a conductor on the commuter in Massachusetts. How far out of Boston do you live?
I live about, if you draw a straight line, about 32 miles.
Well, how about if I don't draw a straight line and you got to drive there?
If I have to drive there, I'll tell you. So if I go to the yard, so the S&I building, which is 20 Widette Circle.
S&I stands for
Service and Inspection.
Okay.
So that is at 200 Widette Circle.
All right. That's good. That's good to know.
Widette Circle.
Yeah, just a rough.
Boston, Mass.
Yeah. Let's try this. How long?
30 miles, 40 miles?
32 miles.
There you go.
From my house, it is actually 32 miles.
All right.
The reason I say that is I live 4 miles away from the Franklin facility. Though Franklin is one of the outlying points, the Franklin line,
right.
The outlying points and I live about 4 miles from the Franklin facility.
And that's where you work at?
No, actually.
No, of course not. Of course not. How silly of me to assume such a thing.
Yeah, so you go where the best work is for your seniority.
Okay.
So right now, because of what's going on, I'm actually on the spare board. I'm on the extra board right now. So I can work out of anywhere. But I'll work out of there sometimes. Let's see. Saturday I worked out of Middleborough.
Okay.
Before this whole thing happened, I was working out of Kingston, which is near Plymouth.
All right.
I had a conductor's job out of Kingston. And
You don't hold enough seniority yet to hold a steady job?
I did hold a steady job out of Kingston. That was a steady job out of Kingston. I can't hold a steady conductor's job on the Franklin line.
Okay.
That goes way too high. So, although right now I am the person with the most seniority on the conductor's board right now.
There you go.
Which is a bit of a shock, but.
So I'm assuming riders. How many days a week are you working as of right this minute? As of the middle of, let's say
last week.
Let's say for argument's sake, this is the middle of April.
Okay. Last week I worked 3 days.
All right. So not a lot of work then right now.
No, but the way it works is when you're on the extra board, you're guaranteed 40 hours, even if you don't work 40 hours. So it's not a bad. It's
not a bad gig at all.
Not a bad gig at all.
Can I sign up?
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, I'd consider that not bad.
The engineer that I was working with, he only got out 2 days last week.
So that's not a bad job either.
No.
Timeouts before we go on. There's something that's eating at me that we have to discuss, and Bruce can help me with this. So you bought a Roush Racing Ford pickup truck, and you have no idea who Jack Roush is?
No.
That's a tough one, Bruce.
Sorry. Honestly, so I bought I'm driving by. I left work, so at that time I was working out of Franklin. I was a assistant conductor out of Franklin, and I'm driving past the local Ford dealership, and they had this truck sitting there, this blue Roush truck. I said, oh, wow, that's cool. Let me just go see how much it is. Because I bet it's a lot of money. It's pretty. I bet it's a lot of money. So I went and I looked at it, and they came out, and it's like, hey, you interested? And I'm like, nah, not really. It's like, it's a 2016. I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, it's only this much money. I'm like, what? Do you want to drive it? Well, yeah. Okay. Okay.
What were you driving before?
A Volkswagen Passat.
Holy moly. Where's this?
It's a nice car.
Oh, it's a very nice car, but to go from a Volkswagen... Bruce, are you still here?
Yeah.
Yeah. To go from a Volkswagen Passat to a Jack Roush Racing pickup truck, man.
I'm thinking he knows a little bit of performance difference.
Yeah.
Just a touch.
So Jack Roush owns several NASCAR teams.
Oh, okay.
And he has been, Mark Martin was his first driver. What year are we talking, Bruce, when they would have come into the NASCAR? But
Roush came in, it'd be early 80s?
Yeah, or I was going to say.
Because I think he moved, because he was originally up Michigan way, I believe.
Yeah.
And then he moved down south late 80s, so maybe like early to mid 80s when.
Yeah, I was going to guess around 1990, 88, 89, 91, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And Mark Martin was his first driver, and he had Folgers as a sponsor. And then he had many teams. He had as many as 6 teams at one time.
I believe so.
And then you know what he did? What's the fella's name that we're interviewing? Jim. You know what he did then? He went into partnership with the guy who owns the Boston Red Sox.
Did he?
Yeah.
It became Roush Fenway Racing.
It became Roush Fenway Racing.
Really?
Yeah. So you need to do some investigation there if you're going to be driving around in that truck, or turn the keys over to me and I'll take care of it.
You'll take care of it.
Yeah. How many miles did it have on it?
36,000.
Holy mackerel! Barely even broke in.
Nope, not even. I mean, it was ridiculous, and the condition it was in was ridiculous, and the price was like, really?
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
And then I showed some pictures to people, and I think it was, I want to say it was Peter Borchert said, that thing, it may not have been Peter, but
no,
somebody on Facebook said, that thing's 600 horsepower, right? I'm like, no.
1988.
All right, there you go. Okay, so between the two of us, we had her pretty much nailed down.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry. But it's a little quick. Yeah.
It's kind of like doing Proto 48. You need to know what that is if you're going to drive it around.
Okay.
Because otherwise, you know what the problem is? If you don't know what it is, and I mean, you can completely eliminate this simply by doing a little bit of investigation on the internet.
Yeah.
But if you don't know what it is and somebody starts talking to you, you're going to look like a complete dork.
I know.
So you don't want to do that. You want to at least know. It's like I had a friend. One of my good friends, Mike Adams, is a lawyer, and he's my lawyer. We spent some time together in some places, and he doesn't know anything about football. So then we were hanging out with a bunch of our friends. We were at a party with a bunch of guys. It was just guys. It was a guys' party. We were watching NFL playoffs, and he didn't know anything about football. And I said, here's all you need to know. If you're going to watch football and you want to fit in with the guys, just before they snap the ball, yell blitz, and you'll be fine. Do that 3 or 4 times during the game, yell blitz. This is going to be a blitz. You'll be fine. It'll look like you know what you're talking about. So that's what you need. You just need a couple of key phrases that you can throw out there when you're showing off your truck.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It'll go much better, don't you think, Bruce?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
And if he wants to kick it up a notch, you should find the Roush Family Racing website. And I bet you they sell a pretty good replica of the trademark hat that Mr. Roush wears.
Oh, there you go. Wouldn't that look sharp?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet you they have a lot of goodies you could add on. You could, before you know it, people would be thinking you're the Proto 48 guy for Roush Racing.
There you go.
All right. So it's a tough job right now, I guess?
Yes and no. There's not a lot of people on the trains, obviously. We have to keep the trains, the trains have to be, the trains have to be totally open. So you have to keep the entire train open so people can spread out as much as they need to. But even then, the trains I've been on, there's been like 5 people, maximum 20 people on a train. So it's not like there's a lot of people on it. So most of the time we try to encourage them to stay in one coach. Don't go too far because we're not going to, this door is the one that opens. So you might not want to go to the other end of the train, unless the car's got more than 10 people in it, then obviously you need it. But,
do you have quiet?
We haven't had any.
Do you have quiet cars?
Rush hour trains. Yeah.
Yeah. I hate those.
Yeah. They are.
Every time I go in a quiet car, I get yelled at by somebody.
Why does that not surprise me?
I don't know.
Generally the way that I handle the quiet car, because a lot of time that's the coach that I deal with, is somebody's talking on their phone or talking, is I'll walk up to them and say, excuse me, I just want to remind you that this is the quiet car. Oh, I'm sorry. It's like, no, don't worry. Personally, I don't care. However, when I walk away, the people around you will stone you to death. So, so you might want to take the phone call to the next coach because they'll wait till I'm not here. So there's no witnesses. That's all.
Yeah.
And people laugh and they go do what they're going to do. But.
All right, cool. All right. Kids, do you think we should risk doing the Kelly questions with Jim?
Oh, it'll be entertaining.
I think, talk about needing a hazmat suit.
Well, you can borrow the one he came in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly.
True.
All right, Jim, you're coming down to your last few minutes. Is there something you want to tell us that you haven't told us?
No.
No?
No. I mean, unless you have any more questions, but no, it's just Proto 48 is awesome. Go Proto 48.
Oh, I got a lot of questions.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I know what I wanted to ask you about. Let's finish up with this. So you're on another podcast for Model Railroad Hobbyists.
Yep.
What's that like? What's it about? What do you do?
It's 3 guys talking about trains. A lot of times we'll bring people on, interview them. A lot of advertisers and stuff on, in Model MRH.
Okay.
So we try to interview them and different folks, like the gentleman with and I've talked to him on the phone. I can't remember his name. The Scale Sounds.
Oh, JT Burke.
Yeah, JT Burke. We've talked to him. And the funny thing is we ended up not talking about Scale Sounds. We talked about something else totally. It's like, so I called him up and he's like, you've talked to me on your podcast. I'm like, oh yeah.
Right. You know who I think is the best person in installing sound in the hobby? Sound.
Kaylee.
Exactly. Our very own Kaylee Zhang. If you want to get sound installed in your locomotive, she's the gal to do it for you. Absolutely.
I'm not going to argue.
Absolutely. Do they have, Kaylee, is there any way, what's the easiest way for people to contact you?
Easiest way is probably send me an email And that's Kaylee Z, KAYLEEZ at tomstrains.com.
Ah, okay, cool. So you have your own email at Tom's Trains.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at you.
Moving up in the world.
Yeah.
Yay!
How come in south of the border, Bruce, they say Z and we say Z?
Because it's our British connection.
Okay. So that's why.
But of course, they pronounce Z scale wrong because it was developed with it. It's actually Z scale. So.
Well, there you go. Is it decal or decal?
Yes.
Dickles. Dickles.
Dickles.
All right. So, okay. So how
I've
often?
been growing up south of Detroit. It's Decal.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, you grew up south of Detroit.
Yeah.
Jim, so when is this show on?
About once a month. We do it about once a month.
About once a month?
Yeah, it's mainly based on Paul's schedule. So because he does the editing and stuff. So when he's able to do it, then we get together, me, Paul Gillette, and Chris Palomares.
Oh, Chris Palomares. Okay, so the guy from Athern, Chris Palomares.
Yes.
Palmaras.
Formerly of Microscale as well.
Okay. So and you guys do a show. Do you guys ever talk about me?
I believe I have mentioned AML before, yes.
Way to go. Nice one.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. All right. I think we covered it all, kids?
Can I just throw something in? If any of our listeners are interested in P48, there is a free publication you can download and get some information on it at OST Pubs. Their website is ostpubs.com, and if you look in the menu across the top, there's one that says P48. Is it for you? You click on that, and it will take you to where you can download a free 47-page guidebook to give you some more info on P48. This is OST Publications is a company run by a guy named Mike Google, who is really bought into the concept of trying to model everything as realistically as possible. They have a number of great publications that they sell that, sort of taking the mindset of kicking it up a notch. He talks about track operations, all sorts of things that from with a look at, how you can replicate this well in a model form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what was it called? OST Pubs?
OST Publications. The website is ostpubs.com.
And what does the OST stand for?
O-Scale Trains, I think.
Maybe O-Scale Trains.
O-Scale Train Publications.
Ohio State? I don't know.
But I believe it's O-Scale Trains.
No, he's in Indiana, so it's not Ohio State. Probably O-Scale Trains would make sense.
Yeah. And I would say, definitely take a look at proto48.org. That site is where like a lot of the resources are gathered together. So if you have any questions about it, that would be one of the other places to go as well. Mike has a bunch of really good books, very thoughtful, thoughtful like things about why you're modeling and how you're modeling and, how you're going about it. And what you didn't ask me is, what am I modeling?
Okay. What are you modeling? Oh, I'm afraid to, because the chocolate took up a good chunk of your allotted time.
Oh, sorry. I model the Carrollwood Pacific, which is it's a freelance railroad. Obviously, it's as if Walt Disney's model railroad was a real railroad.
No, okay, that's kind of cool. Yeah, we didn't even talk about your Walt Disney fetish.
Yeah. I like Disney.
That's right. And we didn't even talk about it. I forgot until this exact moment. We met and we had lunch at Walt Disney World.
We had lunch at Disney World.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that
Old
is
Key West.
Okay. See, now I forgot about that altogether until this exact moment where we went to Old Key West and had lunch together. And that was a really cool thing. So no wonder you were annoyed that I wasn't answering your messages. We would had lunch together. But see, that's the problem. That is what has happened with the AML podcast. There are so many people listening and so many people to
interview,
interact with, that it's becoming, except for, of course, the Kaylee. I never forget about Kaylee. Bruce, honestly, most of the time I never forget about you, but occasionally, like for a couple of seconds.
Well, that's why he's in the basement of the
exactly.
Sterling building.
Let's see. How long have I known you? Yeah, I think I can handle it.
All right, okay. Yeah, like, I didn't forget you at Springfield or nothing.
No, you did bring me home, which is very nice.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I found the Model Railroad Hobbyist podcast, and the last show you did was January 16th, so you guys need to step it up. But
I know, apparently.
But I've scrolled.
I think we have recorded some, but he hasn't put them up.
I've scrolled through about the last 20 or 30 episodes, and I haven't seen my name mentioned anywhere.
Well, that's because you got to listen to it.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, all right. Say hi to Chris and Paul for me.
I will.
All right. All right. So I think that's it, buddy. Boys and girls. Kaylee, do you feel confident to give out our email address?
Okay.
Well, don't have to. We got a guy here that's pretty. He's.
I could try.
Yeah, we didn't ask you.
I know.
See, that would have sounded something like this. Hey, Jim, would you like to give out the email address?
I know.
But I didn't.
Really? Who would have thought?
I said Kaylee is not on. She's not really the email address person. She does another job. So, Bruce, can you give out the email address?
Maybe. I feel kind of slighted. I wasn't at start, but
wow, you are. Come on.
I'll take one for the team.
No, come on. Now, I have said before on the podcast, nobody does it better than you.
Yeah. You say it to all the email address.
No, I'm not. You are.
Except Kelly.
Yeah, you are the guy. You are the man when it comes to.
All right. Our email address. Please let us know what you think about our little shenanigans here. Email address, modellerslife, modelers with 1L, @gmail.com.
And we have a website, amodellerslife.com. By now, even as we speak by now, it's already somewhat working again after I wiped out the front page of the whole thing.
Attaboy.
And then I got frustrated because my TV wasn't doing what it was supposed to. And then I came in here because then Ron Marsh of Ron's Trains and Things, awesome YouTube channel. He's got over 25,000 subscribers, probably closer to 26 or 27. We have a whole series of videos over on Ron's Trains and Things. That is the channel you want to go to find out stuff about model railroading. Ron's Trains and Things. Anyways, between him and Kaylee, I ended up, and it said, "Are you sure you want to click on this?" And I went, "Yeah." And it said it again. "Are you sure you want to click on this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll click on this." And boom.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, gone. The whole front page gone. But it was kind of getting old. All right, Jim, do you know what you have to say at the end of the show?
I think so.
All right, you want a little hint?
It has something to do with rails and shoes.
Happy rails to you.
Right.
No shoes.
Happy rails and shoes.
No.
Okay. Right.
No.
Okay.
No. And try to avoid singing. We've had a few singers lately, and I'm not really keen on that either.
Happy rails.
Yeah, see, we don't want to do that.
Don't do that.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Jim, as we close the barn doors on another episode of A Modeler's Life, and the sun slowly sets over the back 40, I guess there's nothing else left to do except for you to say,
happy rails to you.
While in Busted Knuckle, guests of A Modeler's Life podcast stay at the Casa del Sol Motor Court and Inn, where late-night dancing at the Rumba Room is a magical event to be experienced.
It's another Lincoln Homer.